Wade here with Beneil Dariush. You're going to be facing Mike Chiesa. You know, he's a scrappy guy. I'm just curious, what dangers does he pose to you?
I think the biggest danger with Michael is his willpower. He's got a strong willpower. He's good everywhere. He doesn't really have any weaknesses, but what makes him outstanding is his ability to impose his will and break guys.
He's got a strong submission game. We've seen that you train with Fabricio Verdum, heavyweight champ. So have you been leaning a little extra on Verdum to get some tips?
Actually, not so much with Fabricio, but with Lyoto. Lyoto's been coming around, and we've been training a lot together, so that's been great. I got some guys from Italy, Marvin, just big guys, big, strong guys. I haven't really had any lightweights to train with, especially with Michael being so tall, so it's worked out great for me. I've been training with middleweights.
Perhaps it's better to train with someone a little, closer in size to the actual fight.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
for speed and all that.
I think with the grappling aspect, I see him like a bigger guy. He seems like a strong guy. So I think around middleweight, or a welterweight, he seems like that. The striking, though, I feel he relies more on his speed and movement forward movement. So I try to spar with both for striking, anyways, both lighter guys and bigger guys. But with grappling, I've been focusing mostly with bigger guys.
Now, you're ranked number 7, he's ranked number 14. Were you hoping to get someone in the top 10 or at least a little higher ranked than you even?
I want to fight the best guys, but I also understand that I'm in a strange situation right now with my teammate Rafael dos Anjos being the champ. I'm not planning on challenging him to fight. So with that being said, for the UFC to put contenders in front of me and for me to knock them down, it doesn't make sense. So maybe they can give me guys that are ranked in the top 15 or like right behind me in the top 10, so they can build their way. I don't mind. I get to fight some good guys, as long as I'm fighting guys who do this well and they're the best in the world. I don't mind. So if you're ranked anywhere between the 1 to 15, I'm excited to fight.
Oh yeah, that was actually going to be my next question. With RDA in your training camp, if that posed any problems, but you've worked it out?
Yeah, I don't plan on fighting Rafa. We've spoken about this too. I think eventually one of us is going to move up to 170. I threw the idea out there that I want to move up, and he said, give it some time. Let's get 1 or 2 more fights in, and then sit down and we can talk and see what we're gonna do. So after this fight, and then when he has his next fight, we'll sit down and see how we want to approach this and what's gonna be next for us.
And as his friend, how does it feel when Conor McGregor gets in those verbal jabs? I mean, does that bug you personally as well?
Just knowing who Rafa is and what kind of guy he is, it calms me to know that Rafa isn't going to take it seriously, and it's not something he's going to focus on or worried about. But at the same time, your brother's being attacked, you want to defend him. So it's not fun to watch.
Do you think those two will ever meet in the octagon?
I don't know. That's an interesting question, because I don't know if he can get past Nate Diaz. I think Nate Diaz poses a lot of problems for Conor. He just takes shots well. He keeps coming, and I think that's something Conor he's never really dealt with something like that.
I was just talking to Dan Henderson, and we brought up the fact that Nate actually wanted at 155 the rematch and the first fight. Conor's the one that's been insisting on 170. Dan's theory was that way he has a backup plan at 155 if things don't go well. What are your thoughts on having the rematch at 170?
I think Rafa mentioned that too. I think he does it that way, so it protects him. He says at the end of the day, he can always have the excuses. Oh, well, the fight was at 170. I fought a 170 pounder, meaning he hit a 170 pounder. He took shots from a 170 pounder, so it looks good even when he loses. But if he does it at 155, it doesn't look as good. And I think at 145, he might not go back to 145. I don't know, but especially if he's going to gain weight for 170, how is he going to go back to 145? I'm not his dietitianist, so I don't know, but there's a lot of interesting aspects to that.
On the MMA H.E.A.T podcast yesterday, Alan Joban was talking with Karen about, if you stay at 170 that long, you're going to put on muscle mass that's going to be very difficult to strip away and get back to 145. So Alan didn't really feel confident that he'd ever return.
Yeah, at the weigh-ins for the with Nate Diaz, he came in at 168. I'm assuming that's about his walking around weight. So he's probably gonna want to cut weight next time when he fights Nate. So he's gonna bulk up, and if maybe he cuts like 6-7 pounds, I don't know. He's still cutting something. You know, there's something about cutting weight where it just makes you a little sharper and a little bit more focused. So with that, I don't know how he gets back down because he seems like a big featherweight already.
Yeah, we'll have to wait for that, I guess. When you heard that Tony Ferguson was injured, just curious, did you ask to fight Khabib?
I'm actually not. I'm not allowed to do that anymore because what happened was Joe Silva would call Ali, my manager, and Ali would be like, "Hey, you want this fight?" Joe called me, and every time I said yes. And then a year and a half later, I have 7 fights, and they're like, "Okay, you know what? You're not in charge of this anymore. What we're gonna do is Master Rafael, my coach, and Ali, we're gonna decide from now on." So I think they actually they contacted me about the fight. I said whatever you guys want, and that was pretty much it. So that's now we're here.
Well, you're in good hands at least. Now you're on a 5-fight win streak. Some fighters, I should say, would probably try to play it safe to keep that streak going. What's your mindset going into this fight?
I want to finish, man. I have had 2 decisions, and it's been strange. Most of my fights, I've had finishes. Before the UFC, almost all my fights were finishes, and even in the UFC, I think I'm 3 finishes and now 3 decisions. It's just when I get a decision, I'm like, did I win? Did I not win? Even against Jim Miller, for example, my first round, I thought I had a dominant round. I was in some trouble, but then I finished on top, and I ended the round on top. But I lost that round according to judges. So it's a strange thing for me. I just don't want to leave it up to the judges.
I think a lot of fighters are feeling that. And lastly, King's MMA, they have a new school in Anaheim. You've been spending a lot of time there. You've been posting a lot of pictures. How's that going? Are you teaching there as well?
Yeah, that's actually my gym, King's Anaheim. So I teach there every night. I do the jiu-jitsu classes, and it's great because I get to work with my students again. One of the things I love about teaching, it reminds me the little details that I need to work on, and it sharpens my movement. So it allows me to not only remember those details, but because I have guys a little bit lower level than me, I'm able to try those moves out. If I was to try those moves out against a black belt, a move that I'm familiar with, it'd be difficult. But because they're a little bit lower level, it gives me some room to try things and just get better.
And for those who aren't familiar where your gym is, why don't you give it a little plug? Where are you in Anaheim?
I'm in Anaheim. It's right off of Lakeview and La Palma. It's near Yorba Linda where I live, 4388 East La Palma.
And you've got both pros and just amateur everyday people there, right?
Yeah, it's right now mainly like most gyms. It's just regular guys, regular Joes who like staying in shape, who likes martial arts. And we also have pros, though. We have a small group of pros. What I do with the pros is I have them come train. They do their training. And if we feel that they're at a level where we can take them to Huntington Beach, to the headquarters with Rafael Cordero, that's what I do. I say this guy's ready for it, so we'll take him with us.
All right, so you're grooming him in the minor leagues and bring him up? Nice.
Exactly. Some guys, they really want to do this, but if they go straight to Huntington, they're just going to get pummeled, and it doesn't work for them. The beatings they take, you don't get better if you're getting beat up every day. Maybe you get tougher, but not so much better. So we wanna, like you said, groom them, give them all the information before we send them out there.
Well, thank you, Beneil. We appreciate it, and look forward to coming down and check out the new gym.
Thank you.
Thanks.